direct response and social media marketing podcast for bootstrapping entrepreneurs. My name is Ian. We have our guest Mike. Thank you so much for joining us again. Aaron and Jarrell, why don't you guys introduce yourself?
I'm Jarrell. I am dancing. I'm having fun. Like you said, Mike is back. Awesome dude. You know, the episode we did with him previously was absolutely amazing on team building and things like that. It's going to be great to have him back again. Let's have some more fun.
Cool. Aaron Hine, Life Aid Beverage. We got Mike Bledsoe, Barbell Shrugged. If you didn't listen to that previous episode, like Jarrell said a few weeks back, you definitely need to put pause, rewind, listen to that one first, because there's tons of knowledge, tons of good stuff, a lot of take-home, a lot of action items from there. So, but just a little reintroduction. You know, Mike is the CEO of Barbell Shrugged, the Barbell Shrugged podcast. They also have the Barbell Business podcast. It's the #1 podcast for in the CrossFit niche and beyond, expanding into Olympic lifting, powerlifting, Spartan racing. If you haven't seen that Spartan Race episode where you interviewed the founder of Spartan Race, it is literally one of the best podcasts I have ever seen.
It's one of the funnest podcasts I've ever done.
It is awesome. Well, I had to go watch the video version because the little takeouts that you guys do on that farm and everything, I mean, that's good stuff.
I had to like trek into the woods of Vermont just to get that. It's like I'm in Miami. I'm in Miami that weekend, like doing a lot of stuff with athletes for this CrossFit type thing. And 2 days later, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, like waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get a workout in with this guy.
And he's hardcore. That's not like a little workout. Let me just.
He's got a kung fu master staying at his house. What? The kung fu master's job is to shovel snow and teach his kids kung fu.
He's hardcore.
That's how I was raised.
So let me give a quick 30-second backstory. I think we were in Texas, and I'm doing the CrossFit regionals with Fit Aid and setting up booth. And I'm in the hotel room with a couple of our guys, and I had been watching Barbell Shrugged, the podcast, all the way on the plane. And I run across a Spartan race, and we just happened to sponsor the top Spartan racer in the world. Him and his girlfriend's the top female. And so I'm like, oh, Spartan race, let me check this out. I watched this episode. I'm telling the guys in the room, I'm like, dude, you guys have to see this episode. This is one of the best episodes I've ever seen. The next day, I'm working the booth, you know, our guy, we got to take him to the airport. So, you know, I get the keys, and I head out of the booth, and I'm taking him to the airport. I'm like, actually, I forgot my keys. I was going down the escalator. I'm like, oh, crap, I forgot my keys. So I run back up the wrong way, and I grab my keys. I turn around, and there's Mike right at the booth. I'm like, Mike? He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, I was just listening to that and watching that episode last night on the Spartan Race. That was awesome. He's like, cool, man. I'm like, I love the show. It's a great show. He's like, yeah, man, thanks. He's like, well, I like Fit Aid. I'm like, well, here, grab a can, and that was the beginning. So
cool.
That was a good time. Been good times since, but we're glad to have you back, and you know, we got so much feedback from that first episode, and you know, so much positive feedback. Everyone's like, you gotta have him back on. So Mike's back in town, back in Santa Cruz, California again. So we figured we'd pull him back in here and shoot another episode. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about, you know, your guys' evolution at Barbell Shrugged, and not only, you know, you have this great successful podcast and this audience that continues to grow, but now you're really monetizing that to a pretty impressive degree. So maybe you can, you know, guide us through that journey that you've been on.
Sure. Did we get the intro, Ian?
I'm Ian. I'm Chief beat my chest, make lots of noise, and I was surrounded by the greatest team I've ever worked with. And I'm super loud. So I try not to say too much, because when I talk, it makes up for all the silent moments. And I'm all about
my job harder.
Yeah, I'm all about ears today. Today, I have my ears in tune to hear what you have to say. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So it's interesting. Man, where do I start? So with Barbell Shrugged is the podcast that we have. That's our, you know, we have a lot of subscribers on YouTube, iTunes. We're top 5 in health pretty consistently. If you know anything about iTunes ratings and all that kind of stuff, it's constantly shifting, like by the hour. So like that's why I say most of the time we're in like top 5, because we might be top, you know, number 1, and then we might be 10 like 2 hours later, and there's no rhyme or reason because their formulas are always changing as well. So we started the podcast. I talked a little bit about it last week. You know, how hard it was. It's like, I just want to do a podcast because I like the idea of doing a podcast. I had heard a couple podcasts before. I heard one that was like 100% content driven, no jokes. It was like, we take questions, we answer them. Boom, that was it. And I was really enjoying that. It was on nutrition. It was Rob Wolf's podcast. Okay. And I was just like,
good dude, good paleo guy. If you're not
fantastic guy. Rob Wolf.
I heard Negro Modelo is paleo.
I heard the same thing.
Approved.
No, that's a liquid piece of bread. Anyway, keep on.
Yeah, so I heard his, and I was like, well, I like a podcast, but you know, my idea of podcast was what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then I had this intern on board at our gym. He was like, oh yeah, you should check out Joe Rogan, his podcast.
Yeah.
I think you'd like his podcast. I was like, all right, whatever. Like a month goes by. He's like, did you listen to that Joe Rogan podcast yet? I'm like, nah, I'll get to it, whatever. I finally broke down and listened to Joe Rogan podcast. I was like, and Joe Rogan on the first podcast I listened to was talking about aliens and mushrooms, like psychedelic mushrooms, and he was talking about like Bigfoot. Yeah. I was like,
my kind of guy.
I was like, but it hit me in the face. I go, oh, you can make a podcast whatever you want.
Anything.
Yeah.
And so like, I didn't realize that I was like holding myself back.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, it has to be like content. I was like, no, what we'll do is we'll have like the type of content that Rob Wolf produces, but we'll have the entertainment value of Joe Rogan.
Exactly.
We can do this. And so like, and then I started like, all right, we gotta like put the team together. We gotta do that. And so we started podcasting just because I thought it'd be fun. And one thing was like, we were running a very good business with our gym. I was also one of the more knowledgeable CrossFit coaches in the region. I was getting phone calls pretty frequently from people asking for not just business advice, but like, you know.
made it to the regionals before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big, if you know
CrossFit
we've had
teams.
Yeah,
our team's been in regionals several times. Like and so I was getting phone calls like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I was like, you know, we should just start a podcast to answer these questions. And so I changed my phone number and started the podcast, and we started just answering the questions, coming up with topics, interviewing guests, people we knew. Before that, my business partner, Doug Larson, he always wanted to do digital information products. Like, we had been following this guy who taught us a lot about business, but he taught us through digital information products. We were like, you know, this podcast thing is a perfect platform for that. Well, a year previous to that, he had started doing this thing called Technique WOD. And if you're in CrossFit, you understand that WOD stands for workout of the day. And so the word WOD is like,
if you're in porn, it means something else. But
that's right.
In CrossFit,
he finished that whole beer. That's the
Why y'all always do this?
He finished the beer and the thumb inspired him. And keep on going.
We gonna move this.
Now, Doug had actually started this, you know, weekly video of like, he would break down the technique with his iPhone, break down the technique, 3 to 5 minutes of how to do this movement properly.
Okay.
He'd been doing that, so we started the podcast. We're like, man, between your Technique WOD and the podcast, this is going to be a perfect launching point for digital information products. Because we were both on the same page. We were kind of like, oh yeah. He was more conscious of it than I was. I was like, podcast for fun. Oh, by the way, secondarily, we can make some money doing it, right? So we podcasted for about 3 months, and then we were like, you know what, we just need to pull the trigger. So like, I have, one of my skills is speed of implementation. And that's like the most important skill to have in business, is not to wait till it's 100% ready or whatever, but it's 80, 90% there, pull the trigger, launch it, and then see what happens, right? And then start refining it after you launch it.
Perry Marshall, Dan Sullivan, big on 80% move it forward.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I've been to so many conferences, marketing conferences, where you sit down next to a guy and they're like, oh yeah, I've been coming to see this guy for 5 years. You might be like, someone might be going to see Joe Polish or something. You know, oh, I love watching this guy speak. He's like, oh, do you own a business? He's like, no, I've been thinking about it. I've been coming for like 5 years. I'm like, what are you doing? And it's like, and that person will never start a business because they lack that speed of implementation. Some might say my speed of implementation might be a little too fast. But what we saw was like, oh, we just filmed a seminar that our buddy did, Chris Moore, one of the hosts of the show. We did a seminar at our gym. We filmed it, and then we, set up like a I don't even know how we set it up. set up like a secret page. People bought it. We were using AWeber email system at the time. AWeber is like if you're getting started, I think it's the way to go for email, right? And so we used that. They got email this thing. They got some PDFs, and they got this to watch this video. And that was the first thing we sold. And we sold like 10 at $100. We charged $97. We sold like 10 of them the first month. And we did that about after doing the podcast for about 4 months. We're like, oh shit, we can make some money. It's only $1,000.
Hey, that's first $1,000. Sometimes the toughest $1,000 to make.
Yeah, but I was like, but that was goes. Okay, we do have something here.
Right.
You know, I was like, and so, it was January of that. So we did that. We sold that first product in June. So 6 months later, we had 2 more products.
What year was this?
This is 2012.
2012, so not that long ago.
So in between June and January, we had 2 more courses we created. One was for mobility, like flexibility training, and one was for nutrition. We started selling those at different price points. We always tested our prices, split testing prices. Are y'all familiar with that? Is the audience? Is that something the audience? Yeah. So
what you guys use?
A/B split testing.
We use the software.
We actually use right now. We use Entreport.
Okay.
And that actually helps with A/B split testing really easy.
Okay. What split testing is, folks, is basically you're taking either two variables, and you really want to isolate just to changing one variable. So in this case, it would be price. You have the same information product at $97 and the exact same product at $197, and you test it out to a list split in half and see how they pull, and you'd be surprised, like, oh, well, of course a $97 product's gonna pull better, but that's not always the case.
Not always the case.
I remember it was January of 2013. We made like $3,000. We were like, that month. So it was like almost like every product we put out would make us like $1,000. I was like, this sucks. This is like there's something else has to happen here. And my mind shifted. I want to say I was listening to, I forget what podcast. Maybe it was like Internet Business Mastery. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. But I was listening to a few, and there's another one, Freedom Ocean. I was listening to a few different podcasts, and there was something that was said on one of those podcasts. It was like, I think a lot of people get into information products because they're thinking passive income. I create it once, I put it out there, it sells forever, which won't happen because marketing goes on forever and it's always changing. But people, and that's was my approach, is I wasn't treating it like growing a business. And like I was treating it as these are products and we're going to create these things and they're going to create revenue. And then I had like this mental shift. Someone said something along the lines of, you know, don't treat it as like passive income, treat it like a business. I go, I treat my gym like a business. Why am I not treating this like a business?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I started treating it like a business. So I go, oh, well, I've got to hire people. We don't need to be afraid of bringing more people on the team, because we were afraid of bringing people on the team because that's more people to manage. And at the time, that wasn't an obvious skill set that I had. It's a talent I have, but I didn't even recognize that as a talent until we started hiring people. And then so it occurred to me, I was like, oh, we're gonna have to put in some work if we want to make some money. Surprise!
Take home note to the listener. There's no such thing as a free lunch. You gotta grind it out sometime.
No money tree?
No money. Well, you know.
So when I think of digital information products, I think it's a PDF that you download. It's videos you watch. You know, you can sell 10,000. It's the same as selling one, and that's cool. And I like that. But I was like, you know what? But I also have a passion for changing lives, and like I want to leave the world a better place than I came in. I was like, and you can do that with digital information products, but I want to make, you know, I was like, I think we can make a bigger impact. So we actually created training programs where there's coaching going on. So we ended up, like, first I was coaching, and people they enter the program, they get a workout for that day, and they get nutrition advice, and they're all working towards the same goal. So the first program was the Muscle Gain Challenge. It was to get bigger and stronger. Dudes want to get bigger and stronger, and in CrossFit, the niche that we serve specifically.
What are you talking about? What?
But like we've been talking. We're like we have all these one-off products. We need to have a continuity product. And we were always thinking like, oh, we can charge $17 a month we do these special podcasts on the side, the stuff we already do for free. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
And if you don't know what a continuity product is, sorry to interrupt, but it's basically a subscription. It's a monthly recurring product. Think of you have a magazine subscription that gets delivered to your house every month, and they charge you once a year or once a month for that. That's a continuity program.
So we go, oh, we're going to do this coaching program online. And so the first thing we do is like, all right, $100 a month. I think we charge like $97 a month. And for $97 a month, you get access to a private Facebook group where we'll analyze your technique on videos, and then we'll also just answer your questions. And then every day they would drip more content. So every day they would get the workout, nutrition stuff. They would actually, the products we'd already produced, we started inserting those on rest days so they have a learning going on as well. And so our first continuity product, the first recurring subscription-based model was at $100 a month, which most people, when they do their first continuity product, they're thinking $10 a month, $20 a month. And we sold it at like, I think we cut it off at 50 or 60 people. So we're like, oh shit. We went from like making, I think the best month we'd had at that point was $5,000 a month. And we got basically 50 people paying $100 a month. So we went from like, we like doubled our income in a single month, and it was recurring. We were like, oh, we got something here.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then 6 months later we launched a second program with different set of goals. And then we're like, oh, this is cool. And then I just have so we have this recurring model. Right now we have 800 athletes. Wow. And then we broke it up into different tiers. So we have solo program where they get no coaching. It's like $87 a month. They get just the Facebook group, which is like $107 a month. And then if they want to get like a 30-minute Skype call once a month, as a pro level, it's like $157 a month. Nice. And now we got like a staff of coaches, and it's definitely well worth it.
And your athletes, I mean, you got athletes making regionals, going to the games. I mean, you're producing results, which I think is a good point. Look, you can't just put garbage out there and expect it to stick. You know, you got to put out quality information, quality products if you want this model to work.
Yeah, and so, and now we're working on something called Barbell University, which is an online university for exercise science. Yeah. What the education I wish I received, my degree was in exercise science, kinesiology. Like, I wish that I had. There's like most of the classes just didn't apply to what I was going to do. I'm like, you know what? Coaches are going to come here to learn, and they're going to learn from guys that have PhDs. Right. Talk about energy system. Whatever. I'm going to get in those weeds, but like, we're doing that now. But one of the biggest things that shifted for us is the first few products we made them because we knew that people needed to know that information. But we weren't basing it off of the needs of the market. Like, it was our perception of the needs of the market, not that we weren't letting the market tell us. So it wasn't until we really got in our Facebook wall and we really started collecting the data off of that. We started surveying our list. And then we have a fantastic girl who does some work for us where she does a lot of analytics based off of surveys and stuff like that, survey results.
What do you use for survey?
Survey Monkey.
Yes.
Yep.
Survey Monkey.
Which
Survey Monkey's great.
Take note of that.
Let's do a quick personal plug. I mean, Mike and I are writing a book right now, and how we got a lot of the chapters for the book we're writing is utilizing Survey Monkey. He sent it out to his list. Yeah. I sent it out to mine, and we got great feedback.
My list is bigger.
From our you can have a list with about content.
He's already puffing up his chest before, you know.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great tool to like he said, not just make assumptions based on, my personal blinders or his blinders and our reality that we live in, but on what's really happening and real feedback from the only people that really matter, which is our customers, people that are paying us money.
Yeah, there's the whole, like, I have like a little mantra, I guess you could say, which is, sell them what they want, give them what they need. Yeah. But when you give them what they need, you also have to give them what they want first, and then give them what they need. So, and that was actually a huge shift for us when we started, like, removing our own perspective, because that's the hardest thing. Like, when I came into business, I lacked empathy. A lot. Like, I was actually in the military at one point, which puts you at 10 more steps in the wrong direction for empathy, right? So,
SEAL training at that. So it was extreme military.
Yeah, I had a long way to travel. So, but one of the things that allowed me to make one of the biggest steps towards empathy was a marketing conference, a week-long marketing conference. And afterwards, I was like, oh, jeez. like, I really feel for people now. But the thing about it was like, marketing is all about feeling and knowing what your customers are thinking. Yeah. And before that, I had no idea. And when I was finally able to like kind of shed my ego and perspective and take on the perspective of, I like to call it perspectiving, like take on the perspective of your customers, it was amazing the way we were able to develop our products after that. It wasn't just me, other guys on the team too. We had these discussions about like, how do we figure out exactly what our clients are needing? Looking at surveys, looking at what they're saying on Facebook. If we suggest something, seeing how they respond to that. And so when we started doing more listening, it was amazing how much more effective our products became. And then not only that, like the marketing just became easy. Yeah. Because this is what you do with survey results. You get your survey results, and then you pick out the exact words that the customer's using, and you use that in your sales copy. Yeah, they sold themselves. I mean,
take note of that.
That's a sales. That's a sales technique. You listen to what they say and you repeat back the exact words. You know, if they use the word muscle tone, use the word muscle tone, whether it's used in the right context or not. Like you use those words right back, and they'll respond.
Cialdini talks about a study he did around tips for wait staff, waiters and waitresses, and how there's a measurable increase in tip when they repeat back to the customer verbatim what they have just ordered, even if it's like not quite what's on the menu or whatever, you know, but you repeat back verbatim what they said. So it's like connecting with your prospect on their level.
Absolutely.
You know, and getting inside the thought process.
Meeting them where they're at.
Yeah, I was a server for 8 years, and I learned that, you know, that was a very effective tool of when they give you something, information, order, or modification, you say it right back, and you can even see it in their face. They will show you, oh, this person listens. Okay, instead of $5, I'll give them maybe a 10, and things like that. It's very, very true, and even works in marketing too. You know, very, very effective. Yeah.
And for those that are logged in, plugged in, listening, watching right now, that are entrepreneurs trying to build a business. So my last company I built was a software company. We sold the software. We started off at $1,500 a month per business. We changed it $1,000 a month per location. And when I walked in, we had no software, we had no business, we had nothing but, you know, this idea that we could build this SaaS business. So I'm walking into clients or prospects and basically asking them, all I knew is I could kind of get an idea about what they may be using. So I'd ask a couple questions about different softwares. They say, yeah, we use this, this, and this. I say, so these products do these things, and would it be great to have a product that does all that? Well, yeah, but nobody's, I'm like, oh no, that's what our software does. And for what the way I approached the market specifically was figuring out what's your dream prospect, like what's anything you could desire for your business. What's the one thing that you want? The one that you want is to get rid of 3, 5, or 7 vendors and have one vendor take care of everything and treat you like a partner. And then I just say, that's exactly what we do. It didn't matter that we didn't have it because I had the contract set in place to where I had enough time to pull it off. And I was a partner with a genius.
It's called fake it till you make it, folks.
No, it's called living in the future, my friend.
Oh, okay. With the technologies that are available today, there's no need to, you know, commit, you know, the all in per se on, say, like manufacturing 1,000 widgets when you can throw, you know, a spec of this widget up on, you know, eBay and see, or Amazon, and see if there's going to be traction in the marketplace before you know, commit your life savings.
That's something that Kickstarter really kind of pushes a lot with their, you know, products of showing people not the finished product but the process. You know, even when we looked at with the guys with the carbon fiber wallets, you know, their Kickstarter was so great not because they actually had a finished product, but because they were showing you how they were making the product. And they said, when it's done, this is how awesome it'll look. And then they got all these backers and stuff, and they didn't even have one wallet made.
Yeah, the transparency. I think there's a correlation between transparency and Kickstarter and the ability to raise money. Yeah, there's some, you know, some people just, they don't have that transparency, and like they're like, oh, we want to do this thing, and they don't talk about how they're gonna do it, the process, and they don't get funded.
People want to feel invested in that process.
And if you make them feel like they're important as especially a part of your product, they'll ride with you until the end.
Yeah.
Because opposed to, oh, okay, I bought it because it's cool. No, I bought it because I invested in it and I told them what to do and they changed it and stuff like that. Now you don't have a customer. Now what you have kind of like an extended business partner that will bring in more customers and bring in more clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm always invested in something on Kickstarter. I'm waiting for my coin to arrive. Are y'all familiar with the coin?
Yeah. No.
It stores all your credit cards.
Right.
On
Yes, I've heard of that.
I'm waiting on a coin.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be in my mailbox.
So Mike, only 2 years has gone by basically since you guys, started this whole gig, and now you're almost up to 20 employees. You're doing, huge numbers in revenue and traveling all over the country, getting to meet, some of the top movers and shakers in various industries. I mean, if you reflect over the last 2 years, you've done a lot in a short amount of time, but is there anything that you can tell our guys out there, that guys and gals that are sitting at home, ready to pull the trigger on their idea, a pitfall that maybe you could have avoided, or some inaccurate thinking, or something, or maybe even a reference for a book or a seminar or something that's like, look, do this and it's going to help avoid a lot of heartache.
Or something they can buy from you.
I actually don't have anything to sell for that yet, but I'm sure I will.
But if we get enough comments around it, we can have something created.
It's all about the feedback.
That's
yeah,
right.
if you want it, we'll build it. But what was the question? Free content is where it's at. That's what we're doing with this podcast, and that's what I do with my podcast. If you think you're giving away too much, give away a little more. I think too many people, they want to monetize something. I'm like, whoa, take one more step and then monetize, right?
It's kind of like dating, right? I mean, look, there's the ideal, when you're going on a date, especially as male, beating our chest, but sometimes you gotta do dinner and a couple movies and walk on the beach, and it's a process. It's a process.
Get the thumbs up later on. So.
And video is good because people connect with you as a person.
Yeah, when they can see you.
I don't know how many people walk up to me and go, I feel like I already know you.
Yeah.
Because they watch our videos. But so move the free line is what we call it. Move the free line one step further than you are probably comfortable with. And then, just try to listen to your audience. Build your audience and then your product. Worst thing you do is get deep into, I don't know how many times I've seen with software too, is like they get so deep into building this software and then like no one wants to buy it.
There's no demand for it.
And then they have to pivot. They have to make this huge change in their software. And because they tried to make it before they sold it or before they marketed it. And so market research, builds the product, and then you turn around and use that market research to market it, and then it's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, great stuff, guys.
Yeah, thanks for
good.
having us.
Thanks for having me back. And I know we discussed it on the previous episode, but where can they find you? Where's your contact info? What's the best way to get a hold of you or check out what you're up to?
Barbellshrugged.com, barbellbusiness.com, Bledsoepia.com. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Michael Bledsoe, and Instagram. They're separate. They're different. I hate that. Mike_Bledsoe. I think I have a really cool Instagram.
He's got a cool Instagram. It's a good audience, and also let's give a little plug. We've got like I mentioned, we got a book coming out here soon. So pay attention.
If you're subscribed to the list, maybe you'll get the survey.
Exactly. So keep an eye out for that book. It's really going to be just a top-notch A to Z guide for people that want to just kick butt and avoid a lot of pitfalls and get stuff done, especially in the fitness realm. And we've gone out and surveyed thousands of successful business owners and are really consolidating some of the best practices into a hardcover and an ebook. So that'll be out here shortly in about a month. And make sure you give us 5-star review
with a comment.
That's right, with a comment.
Positive comments.
Positive comments. Positive comments. If you don't like us, then just tune out and get the.
Go watch something else. Okay, go watch Joe Rogan and Aliens. I love you, Joe. It's okay.
We like Joe. Yeah. But I predict this guy might be bigger than Joe. I'm gonna put. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. Okay, they're on that. They're skyrocketing on this trajectory. Give it 12 more months, and you'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.